It was particularly difficult to sleep because I knew that we still have so much work to be done across the state. Um, and I'm worried about this storm and its aftermath, restoring people with electricity. And in most cases, that means the water services are going to be restored as well. That's a big key to getting all the refineries back into operation and getting enough fuel back into our gas stations and so forth. So electricity is really, really important to run our hospitals that were slammed just at 100% occupancy before the storm ever hit. It's all very challenging to know that we're still in the fourth surge of COVID. Now, we're doing better than we were, but we still have more people in the hospital today than we had at any point during the first three surges. And you know, I like to make this point, not because it warms my heart, but because it's important to make. 13 deaths from the storm thus far. The last 7 days that we reported, and we didn't report yesterday or today, the last 7 days we reported our COVID deaths were 350. So it's incumbent upon all of us to do what we can to minimize transmission in cases, to minimize hospitalizations and deaths. And you know, our healthcare workers have just been slammed for a year and a half. I've been asked about this today. You know, it happened here. The sheriff was mentioning it. People's emotionally just drained, and too many people across our great state have faced an awful lot of adversity over the last year and a half. And if you started that process with some mental illness problems, then they're probably much worse than they are. They're much worse today than they were before. I mean, you think about those hurricanes that I just mentioned. Think about the winter storm. Think about the May flood. Now this hurricane, and all of this happening during the pandemic. It's why I asked the president for a social services block grant. We haven't received one of those since Hurricane Katrina, but we know we have a lot of behavioral health needs. We have a lot of people with addiction disorder who need help. We need to do some things to strengthen our foster care system and foster families, because all of these disasters, this pandemic, it has an effect on all of that. And so we're really hopeful that we will get some additional assistance here in Louisiana.
Last question.
Governor,
Yes,
the president's visit, any results on directly getting more gasoline and power to the station?
Yeah. Well, in terms of more power, you're talking about electricity?
Yes.
Well, I can tell you that he had an opportunity to interact with Mr. Leo Denault, who is the CEO, not just of Entergy Louisiana, but of Entergy, the parent company, and stress the importance of doing that just as quickly as possible. And by the way, you know, for those areas of southeast Louisiana that had less damage to their generation facilities or to the transmission lines or their distribution lines, you can see pretty rapid restoration. Where you get to where the storm made landfall and hovered with the strongest winds, you're seeing the longest times for restoration, and that's common. But one of the points the president made is we've got to stop building these systems back to only the way that they were before the previous storm. We've got to start making sure that they are more resilient and that we do things smarter. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. With respect to gas, I can tell you the president has taken a number of steps, all of which are helpful. His administration has waived the red dye, or issued what I should call as a red dye waiver, so that off-road diesel can be used on the road in southeast Louisiana. They've authorized access to the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, and we have 2 refineries in Louisiana who have already gotten crude from the SPR. Pursuant to that, Exxon and Placid, and so that they can continue to make fuel. We know that he's waived the limits on the number of hours that truck drivers can drive, so that we can get more fuel trucks moving for longer periods of time. They also waived the rules around winter gas, because it's a little easier to refine winter gas and get it to market quicker. And so we're able to do that now, whereas we wouldn't have been able to do it before. But at the end of the day, this is the problem we have in Louisiana. 8 refineries went down. That's 2/3 of our refining capacity. It's 10% of the nation's refining capacity. 2 of those have come back up, but even when they come back up, it takes about a week or 10 days for the newly refined product to be ready to exit the refinery. Now, a grand total of 4 of the 8, we can at least access whatever product they had at the rack. So we can actually send trucks in there, for example, and that is happening. And we believe that the fuel situation has stabilized. It's not going to degrade further, and that from this day forward, it's just going to slowly get better. But there will be stations without enough gas, and there are people who are going to have to wait for some period of time in line to get gas.
Thanks.
And we're asking people to be patient and to be understanding. What happened at that Metairie service station is completely inexcusable, and that is not who we are as Louisianans. That is just not who we are. We're better than that. So the president has been helpful, but these are very difficult challenges to solve overnight. But I believe we're going to see improvement from this day forward. Now, I want to thank you all for continuing to cover this storm and providing accurate information to all the people across Southeast Louisiana. I want to continue to urge people to be patient, be good neighbors, follow whatever your local officials are telling you. I know, for example, there's a 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. curfew here in St. James Parish. Follow that. It's for your own safety. We have elevated law enforcement all across Southeast Louisiana because when it's dark, sometimes people get a little foolish and they think they can get away with something that they would never contemplate otherwise. That's not going to happen. We have elevated levels of law enforcement all across the state of Louisiana. And by the way, these communities in the parishes that I just mentioned, where you have virtually 100% outages on electricity, it is not time to come back if you're evacuated. If you can stay where you are, or if you need additional assistance, call us. Access that assistance that I talked to you about. Because it is very difficult to sustain yourselves here. The schools aren't open. The stores aren't open. The hospitals are slammed if they're open.
Hey guys.
There's no electricity, no water, no stores. So please be patient. Come back
I'm
when
connected on Commerce,
President Dufresne says it's time to come back to St. James Parish, for example.
Okay, perfect. Bye.
And if you need help staying on, access all of the assistance that we went over.
You hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, good.
So let's continue to lift one another up in prayer. Let's work together. Let's get through this. And I know
it happens.
Yeah.
I know we will. It's going to take some time. We're going to be here all the way through the process, working with our federal partners, all of our local partners. And I just want to thank, again, the people of Louisiana. Sometimes we get focused on the negative stories.
Also, Doug, just whenever we will have a break that we will have to take at some point between now and 3.
Okay, what time you want to take it?
For every
Like
bit of food.
Let me get out of the news here, and we'll see.
Okay.
And I probably am understating that tremendously. There are at least 1,000 acts of kindness happening out there for every act of foolishness and meanness. That's why the people of Louisiana continue to inspire me. Thank you all, and God bless.
You've been listening to a live news conference with Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards, joined at the microphone today by Congressman Troy Carter on continuing coverage here on WWL and the Odyssey family of radio stations. I'm Dave Cohen, WWL News Time 225.
Continuing coverage of the aftermath of Ida on 870 AM WWL New Orleans, 105.3 WWL FM and HD1 Kenner New Orleans, WLMG and WLMG HD1 New Orleans, WKBU and WKBU HD1 New Orleans, and WEZB and WEZB HD1 New Orleans. Odyssey stations.
WWL First News. It's 2 o'clock. I'm Chris Miller on your official weather station, WWL, and the Odyssey New Orleans family of radio stations. It's 92 and partly cloudy in New Orleans.
Today's going to be a hot one, but not as humid. Once again, that drier air sets into the area, keeping our humidity values in check. Still going to be hot, though. Temperatures climbing into the lower 90s under mostly sunny conditions. A heat advisory will be in effect today, so we have just enough humidity for the feels-like temperatures to climb into the triple digits across southeast Louisiana, so make sure you're practicing heat safety while you're out and about.
Your local weather expert, WWL-TV meteorologist Michelle Morgan, tells us about what's going on in the tropics.
We continue to watch an area of showers and thunderstorms over portions of the Yucatan Peninsula, and it is expected to live northward into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, it has a low chance of development in the next couple of days, but this could potentially be a rainmaker for some areas along the Gulf Coast. We'll continue to watch it, but dry air and also wind shear will be working against it, so we'll keep it weak.
The National Hurricane Center says there's a 30% chance of tropical cyclone formation in the Gulf in the coming week. Hurricane Ida's death toll in Louisiana has risen to 13. Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards just announced a 74-year-old man in New Orleans died of heat exhaustion.
Heat is a major factor right now. That's especially true in areas without power because you can't go in and cool off with air conditioning. You typically can't go in and get a cold drink of water.
Edwards asks residents to check on their elderly neighbors throughout this period and make sure they aren't overheating or dehydrated. On CBS's Face the Nation this morning, Jefferson Parish President Cynthia Lee Shang described the cleanup and restoration efforts going on in Ida's aftermath and says conditions still don't allow most residents who evacuated to come home yet.
Don't have electricity, water pressure is low, the sewer system is fragile. Having the masses come back, it's a community not ready for it. But I think as electricity comes on, every day I think this gas situation hopefully will get better. We will bring people back.
Shang says additional resources have come in every day. State health officials have shut down 7 southeastern Louisiana nursing homes that evacuated residents to Tangipahoa Parish warehouse ahead of Hurricane Ida, a shelter that lost power and then its backup generator. A total of 6 patients have since died. And New Orleans health officials have declared 8 senior independent living apartment complexes uninhabitable and evacuated residents, and have reported 7 deaths of seniors. The Coast Guard, looking for the source of an oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico off Louisiana, appears to be coming from an area a couple of miles south of Port Fourchon, as we hear from WWL-TV's Eric Paulson.
The slick was first spotted in aerial pictures. That was on Wednesday of this past week. The Coast Guard told the Associated Press crews will be diving down sometime today to determine the exact location of that leak. The Coast Guard does believe the underwater pipeline is owned by Talos Energy. The Houston-based company says it sent a team out to evaluate the spill, but says they are not responsible for the leak.
Entergy says it has restored more than a third of all outages, with most areas getting power back in the next 4 days. Those closer to the coast and the path of Ida's center will take longer. The hardest hit areas may not have restoration until the end of the month. Entergy acknowledges its outage map on its website is not always accurate in every neighborhood. CLECO, meanwhile, has restored more than 80% of its St. Tammany Parish customers. Operation Flipper is a success. WWL's Matt Doyle has more on the rescue of a dolphin that got washed into a Slidell retention pond by Ida's storm surge.
St. Tammany Parish Sheriff Randy Smith tells WWL-TV that local residents put in a lot of calls imploring him to save the aquatic mammal. Smith says they normally would only get this many calls over a dog.
This is pretty unusual, and it's pretty amazing to see this much effort go into saving Flipper here.
Locals line the retention pond to get a look at the stranded dolphin, but it appears Flipper's in pretty good health and will be released back into the wild.
Our best is with Flipper.
Matt Doyle, WWL First News.
Cars have been lining a road alongside the retention pond to get a look at the stranded dolphin, and it caused a few traffic issues in the area.
CBS News Brief. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy says the nation is badly in need of infrastructure improvements after the remnants of Hurricane Ida brought catastrophic flash floods to his state.
That's correct, Tommy and Newell.
Tornado warnings, flood warnings, flash flood warnings. We beg people to get off the road, and still you've got 27 losses of life and enormous destruction.
President Biden's chief medical advisor, Anthony Fauci, says COVID booster shots will likely not be given on a mix and match basis.
Right now, we are suggesting And hopefully it will work out that way, that if you got Pfizer, you will then boost with Pfizer. If you get Moderna, you'll be boosting with Moderna.
The sheriff in Polk County, Florida, Grady Judd, says a man was heavily armed after killing a family of 4.
He had everything down to blood stop kits, first aid kits, and he was ready for battle.
CBS News Brief, I'm Wendy Gillette.
Now, your Garcia Roofing forecast on WWL.
Well, today's going to be a hot day across southeast Louisiana, featuring plenty of sunshine, but drier air still in the area, keeping our humidity values in check. But we still have just enough humidity for our feels-like temperatures to feel like the triple digits. Heat advisory will be in effect today, so make sure you're staying careful while you're outside. Many of us are still without power. Make sure you're staying hydrated. Tomorrow is Labor Day. It looks like the rain chances will be bumped up just a bit, so watch out for scattered showers and isolated downpours. Temperatures will climb into the lower 90s. From your local weather expert forecast center, I'm WWL-TV meteorologist Michelle Morgan.
92 degrees, but with 42% humidity, only feels like 97 at MSY. Mostly cloudy and 82 in Slidell. I'm Chris Miller, WWL First News.
On WWLAMFM.com and the Odyssey app, Louisiana's official emergency management station, it's continuing coverage of the aftermath of Ida. Live from our Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union studios. Also on Magic 101.9, Bayou 95.
We have Ken too.
7 and B97. Connect now on the Oakland Heart Jewelers talk and text line, 504-260-1870. Back to Team WWL.
Hey, this is Attorney Doug Sunseri, part of the continuous coverage of recovery from Hurricane Ida on the Odyssey family of radio stations. We're talking insurance claims. First thing, I want to thank Jammer and Sean back at the studio. We had a little power outage in my home studio. Thank y'all for your hard work, and I appreciate what y'all doing in the back in the studio. Y'all do a great job, and you make me don't sound like an amateur. How about that? Okay. Second thing. Before we get to Ken Savage, he was a claims adjuster, and also he's a claims consultant for the homeowners now. I wanted something very important that happened during the news. One of the big issues is whether additional living expenses and business interruption will be activated in absence of damage, but in absence of physical damage under the civil authorities law. Or civil authorities provision of your insurance policy. With the insurance, civil authorities basically states that if there's a mandatory evacuation and after a waiting period, you will be entitled to additional living expenses and business interruption insurance. One's a business policy, one's your homeowners. Now, what the insurance companies are saying that there was no civil authority issued. There was no of a mandatory evacuation. What generally happened was the mayor said, I probably would have called the mandatory evacuation, but it's too late. Get out if you can. Storm comes, don't come back. And I'm imposing curfews, which limits your access to your building. Now, in the news and on Governor Edwards' press conference, he stated, and I have this from my notes because we're going to file it. It's going to be an issue in the litigation, and we're going to file it. Governor Edwards stated in the press conference at 2:10 that it's not time to come back home because of lack of city services. In the interview during the news, Jefferson Parish President Cynthia Lee Shang states that it's not time to come back without electricity, without resources, and without gas. To me, that is de facto civil authority. Even though it wasn't formally issued, to me, that is civil authority, and it's going to be our position throughout the next 3 years that that's enough to activate civil authority and that people are entitled to additional living expenses and they're entitled to their business interruption insurance. And we're going to continue to compile all the statements from government officials so that we're going to slam them in court. All right. That's all I'm going to say. We're going to kick some butt. All right, let's bring on Ken Savage. And Ken Savage is I wanted to bring him on because he was a claims adjuster for the insurance companies for 16 years. And I want, if we have time, we got about 20 minutes left, he can tell you what's inside of the head of an insurance adjuster who comes to your house and how you can help provide information to help, maximize your claim. So Ken, thanks for joining us. Just tell us a little bit about you. We're short on time. We only got 20 minutes. We thought we were going to be on at 2, but we only have 20 minutes. So just tell me briefly, your background and, what you do now.
All right. So thanks for having me, Doug. I'm a building consultant, actually. I do have a background in construction and insurance adjusting. Basically, I document the loss, we call that, for the owner of the property, meaning we write the estimate and the report on what's going to cost to make repairs to the building, which is a lot of times left up to the home or building owner. The insurance company will leave it up to them most of the time to prove their loss or prove the damages, even though they will send out a field adjuster, they call it, and he'll come out and sometimes, most of the time, they'll just say, okay, show me what you got, and you'll walk around and show them what damages you've observed, and that may be all they do. Sometimes you might get a little bit better adjuster who will do due diligence and look for everything he can possibly find, but you don't know exactly what you're going to get. So when I get retained by someone who owns a building or a property, what we do is we go out and assess
We have
all
Marcus,
damage,
Sheila, and Emily.
measure up the entire building.
Marcus, Sheila, and
We
Emily.
document all the damages, write an estimate of repairs using insurance company software, which is Xactimate, so that they can better understand it. Because a lot of times, even if you get a contractor, if you're lucky to find one, contractors write estimates differently than insurance companies want to see. They have bulk numbers in them, and they're written different. And the examiner in-house or whoever's looking at it many times can't wrap their brain around the numbers. They don't understand. Most of them don't have construction experience. Some may. But they like Xactimate because they trust the prices and they're used to seeing it. So we convert to that for them. And basically my job is really just to try to show the insurance company in terms they can understand this is what it costs to make repairs to this building and why. That's what we do mostly.
And you prepare it in a format where the insurance companies can digest it rather than spit it up, right?
Right.
All right. Also, as far as you said something that's very important, we got some callers that we're going to get to, but in just a second. But you said very important. It's really incumbent on the person, the homeowner or the business owner, to document their damages. And the claims adjuster, it's not the claims adjuster's job to necessarily do that. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm not exactly sure how the courts see that, a law sees it, but the policy does have what's called duties of the insured listed in there, and they do leave it up to you. The adjuster will say, okay, this is my opinion. This is what I think the damages are. If you don't like it, or if you think it's more than that, show us why it's more. And, that's what you got to produce your estimates and all of your documentation for.
Now, real quick, before we get to Marcus, what can a homeowner do to help the claims adjuster accumulate as much information as possible?
That's the tough part, because that's the tough thing. I mean, you need to go out. You're supposed to go out and get estimates and proposals. That's hard to do. There's not that many contractors, and they can't afford to ride around and give free estimates. That's the difficult part. When you're trying to do your job of documenting the loss, getting the estimates and costs to fix things, that's really difficult. That's the hard part.
Okay.
So all you can do is, try to come up with what it's going to cost to fix. Try to get a contractor or a consultant or an estimator like me to come out and document it for you and send it to them. And, that doesn't mean they're going to take it. Sometimes they'll still look at it and go, no, we don't agree with that.
But it gives
and
them
then
a base.
It's a whole nother problem.
It gives them a base to look at it and gives them a scope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Now, I'll tell you what, let's go to the phone lines and let's go to Marcus. Hey, Marcus, you're on with Ken Savage and Doug Sunseri. How can we help you?
How you doing?
Good.
How's it going, man?
How you doing? I guess I have heard some of the answers you guys gave to some of the people who are asking the same kind of questions, thinking of asking. My biggest issue, I believe, is that my roof, half my roof on half side of the house ended up on the other side. Hundreds of
shingles
of tiles.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is that those things still have that, at the bottom part of it, still have that film on them. So it was done badly. The people who did my roofing after Katrina messed me up big time. I also have blown.
Well,
in.
Let me stop you there. That's a defense to an insurance company paying a roof claim is defective installation previously. I just want to let you know.
Say that again, please.
A defense to paying a IDA claim, as we stand today, would be defective installation of the roof. In other words, if they can prove that whoever put on your roof last time did it defectively, they can use that as a defense to not pay the damages incurred for Hurricane Ida. I'm just giving you information. Okay?
Yeah, I got you because when I was a young man, I did do a little bit of roofing. Yeah, I remember that they had a little bit of plastic on it. You had to remove anything so it could do what the gluing that it has to do.
Here, let me.
Another question. I think one of you people asked already concerning the blown-in installation.
Okay, the blown-in installation, as far as if it's damaged or not, is that your question?
Yes.
Okay, Ken, can you address when you have roof damage and the blown-in installation gets wet? All right, thanks for the call, Marcus, and if you can give me an explanation, Ken.
I mean, if you lose your roof by default, your insulation's damaged. If it gets wet, it's done. It needs to be replaced. We don't take it outside, put it in the street, and dry it out. If it's wet, it's damaged, they need to replace it.
All right, Marcus, that's a bottom line question.
How do I prove structural damage?
What's that?
Structural damage?
Prove structural damage.
Engineer. You have to get an engineer out there to show that your house was torqued.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's different kinds of experts you got to remember. So like as a building consultant, I would be considered an expert on repairs, building damages, but not cause and origin. So if you have a wind versus flood issue, you need a CNO engineer report to prove that. If it's structural damage, you got to have a structural engineer. They're not going to take my word over a structural engineer. If they got their report, then you're going to need one too. And, you want to request that anyway. If you think you got structural damage to your house, you tell your adjuster, I need an engineer, and get them to pay for it.
Now, remember all this. The cost for, getting an expert can be tacked on to your insurance claim. So if you get a structural engineer.
Some experts' fees can be paid by your policy.
There you go. All right.
One quick question. Sunseri, are you related to Joseph Sunseri?
I have so many Joseph Sunseris in my house, you can't swing a cat without hitting one.
No, this is an old guy that used to own the appliance store.
I think they might have came over in the same boat about 100 years ago, and they dispersed since. All right. We had Banana Joe, Pancake Face Joe, Little Joe, California Joe, Jailhouse Joe, and, Baby Joe. Yeah. Now, so that's what we had. We never called Pancake Face Joe to his face because he got offended. All right.
Joseph, I worked for him about 40 years ago, and it was just great to talk to him.
And then, and the only other thing is you stayed away from Jailhouse Joe. Okay. All right. Let's go to our next call. Let's go to Sheila. Hey, Sheila, what can we do to help you?
I live in Covington, and I had a tree from the woods behind my house that was recently.
Let's be quick with her and get to a break.
To be developed, and it caused damage to my fence, and it pushed my greenhouse. My house is fine. I just moved back into my house, had a fire, and had my electricity about 2 weeks. And then boom, I had to leave it. But
so okay, let me get this. You had a tree on your fence in your greenhouse.
Right.
Okay, the insurance company should pay that, subject to you deductible.
Good. But the tree does not originate on your property, so the question of whose policy is going to want to cover it. Since the tree is grown on your neighbor's property, it still would probably be on your policy, I believe.
It would still be on your policy.
Any covered structure that a tree hits, they have to pay for, plus the cost of the tree removal, which is going to be $2,500, $3,000.
So we got to go to a break. In a second. But basically is if the tree hits a structure such as a garage, a shed, a pool, a fence, they have to remove that. The insurance company has to pay the cost for removing it. If it falls and it doesn't damage anything, You may have a provision that states you get, a tree removal up to $500. You may or may not. You have to read your policy. Okay, we got it is Attorney Doug Sunseri here with you through it all. You can call us at Texas 504-268-1870. We'll be back with more continuous coverage of recovery from Hurricane Ida after this brief timeout.
Northern Tool and Equipment is open and ready to help. Stop in for generators, water pumps, fans, power tools, scaffolding, and more. Supplies are limited. Find us in Metairie at 6851 Veterans Memorial Boulevard or Homa at 1548 Martin Luther King Boulevard.
Although the storm
All right, Doug, we'll probably have a chance maybe to get at least two more people when we come back. We have
watch for low-hanging or
Emily and then Peter. Emily and Peter.
Under fallen trees or branches. Always assume a downed line is energized. Stay away, keep others away, and call 911 or CLECO at 1-800-622-6537. CLECO is working as quickly and safely as possible to restore your power. At CLECO, they're working to keep you safe before, during, and after the storm.
If you're a State Farm customer affected by the recent hurricane and need to submit a claim, go to statefarm.com, call 1-800-SF-CLAIM, download the State Farm mobile app, or contact your local State Farm agent. With one of the industry's largest catastrophe response teams, State Farm and your agent are ready to help. Go to statefarm.com to start your claim. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
After the storm is over, if you think you have wind damage or missing roofing, siding, and gutters, call VinylTech. They have a AAA rating with the BBB, so you know they can be trusted. VinylTech has been serving the New Orleans Metro for over 20 years. They are the local exterior specialist.
Hi, this is Shay Mulkey of VinylTech. Let us work with you to get your home looking brand new again. I guarantee you will be satisfied. Call me, Shay Mulkey, at VinylTech, 504-469-7590, and online at vinyltechnola.com.
Hey guys, this is an important message from Entergy. We
Sorry, Doug?
Who do I have to be without power?
Emily, then Peter. Emily, and then Peter.
And I think that'll end it.
Our crews are working hard to return service as soon as possible. Please avoid down power lines and use caution when cleaning debris. For outage information and restoration updates, download the free Entergy app or visit EnergyStormCenter.com.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 130 has immediate job opportunities. Earn $44.78 an hour with industry-leading benefits, including health care for you and your family, a great retirement package, excellent working conditions, and a continuing education program. If you have integrity, a strong work ethic, and believe pride in your work counts for something, call 504-831-1372 or visit IBWLU130.com.
Although Hurricane Ida has come and gone, many in greater New Orleans and southeast Louisiana are still without power, without food and water, without air conditioning, some without homes. So WWL and our Odyssey family of stations are partnering with Second Harvest Food Bank to get help to those who need it most. Every dollar you donate will provide 4 disaster meals to aid families, friends, and neighbors in Louisiana. Can you help? Donate now at WWL.com or OdysseyCares.com.
Are you recovering from the recent storms? A metal roof from Adco Metals can last you a lifetime. Think outside the shingles. Adco Metals serves all of Louisiana and Mississippi. Call Adco Metals at 888-858-3222 or visit adcometals.com. When quality counts, count on the experts at Adco Metals.
At Hancock Whitney, we've got your back. From Homa to New Orleans, we quickly mobilized our associates and partners, offering much-needed meals and water to the community. And we've already deployed over $2.5 million to support recovery efforts. We've got your banking needs covered too via mobile and online banking. For updates on financial centers, ATMs, disaster recovery assistance loans, loan deferral programs, and other recovery resources, visit HancockWhitney.com.
Coming out, stand by.
Louisiana, we've got your back. Hancock Whitney Bank, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Brandon Hawley here. Stylish, quality, custom doors. ReliefWindows.com.
It's the aftermath of Ida on WWL, Louisiana's official emergency management station. Also on Magic 101.9, Bayou 95.7, and B97. Share your storm story on our WWL Radio Facebook page or tweet at WWL-AMFM.
All right, we're back. Attorney Doug Sunseri here with you through it all. Call Texas at 504-260-1870. We're back with continuous coverage for the recovery of Hurricane Ida. Tommy and Newell are next at 3 o'clock. Just a quick anecdote about Tommy Tucker. The Saints needed a kicker. Tommy used to be a kicker at Shaw. They called, and Tommy said, "No, I'm staying with the coverage with WWL. I can't kick for you, the Saints." So he's going to be there at 3 o'clock. Also, we were cut off this hour by the press conference for Governor Edwards. So Ken Savage said, if any callers want to call him and ask him questions that y'all want to ask today, you can call him and he'll answer them like he would on the radio at 985-778-1016, 985-778-1016. We're doing that because we were cut off for the hour. Also, let's go to the phone lines. We only got a few minutes. Let's go to Emily. Emily, what can we do for you? Emily.
Yes, I was talking to. Yes, hello.
Yes.
I was talking to you about the bankruptcy before we got cut off for the governor.
Yes. Okay, with the bankruptcy.
Yes. Okay, so
I tell you what.
Yes, I did.
Call me at 504-957-5734. I'll talk to you about that off air.
I'm going to have to get another
504-957-5734. Because that's more of a legal issue, and I want to get to the hurricane issue. So 504-957-5734. I'll talk to you about it because it's going to take a little explanation.
Okay.
All right, let's go to Peter.
I do have other questions.
Okay, give me that question. Next question. All right, what you got? Hurricane question.
She left.
Okay, Peter. Let's go to Peter. How can we help you?
Yes, I have a question. After Katrina, a couple of us got together, and we actually had somebody come in who happened to be from out of state. And the guy used to be a claims adjuster, an insurance adjuster. But what he did is he came in and looked over our properties, our houses, and helped us develop something that was to counter what the insurance companies had offered us. And, I mean, it was a tremendous difference. For instance, the difference between what the insurance companies originally offered us and what they ended up paying us was anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 each.
Okay.
And he did things like crawl in and get the numbers off of
what's your question?
Yeah. So my question is, what do you call those people, and how do you find them? I mean, that particular person is no longer alive. We can't use him anymore, but he was unbelievably helpful.
Well, there's, I mean, like I said, if you, people like Ken do it, 985-778-1016. I gave out my cell number, 504-957-5734. I can give you a list of people who do this. I could give you
985-778 what?
Okay, Ken's number is 985-778-1016. Okay, okay. My number is 504-957-5734. It's 9 Drew Brees 57 Ricky Jackson 34. That's how I remember. I remember Drew Brees, Ricky Jackson, Tony Galbraith. 504-957-5734. Okay, call me and I can get you a list.
957-5734.
Yeah, I'll get you a list of people who you could call. All right, do we have anybody next?
Okay.
Anybody on the line?
Jerry on 4.
Okay, Jerry, you got to be quick. We only got a couple of minutes. What you got for us?
It's nothing to do about insurance. We just give everybody a heads up. The Louisiana state bird is out in full force. The mosquito I'm talking about. So please tell people to empty their stuff, because with everybody living outside and their houses wide open, we don't want another epidemic of, I don't even know, not malaria, I forget the name. But anyway, just giving you a heads up. Pass the word.
Okay, thank you for the call. Who do we have next, guys?
Stan
the man. What do you have for us? How can we help you?
Yes, sir. I didn't even make a claim for Katrina. And I'm not making a claim now. Well, I am. And I called my insurance company, and they denied me because it wasn't a mandatory evacuation.
Okay. We had
Can you believe that?
Yeah, we have that explanation for it. We're going to say it's a de facto evacuation. In the news break and in the news conference, Governor Edwards said, don't come back. President Cynthia Lee Shang said, do not come back. We're going to research every time that a politician said, do not come back. They imposed curfews, and they said before the hurricane, the only reason why we did not impose a mandatory evacuation, we were too late, for whatever reason.
Well, you know what gets me upset is I've been paying premiums for years and years and years. And once I call for a claim, they deny me.
I understand
that's what's got me so upset.
And you have a right to be upset. and there's going to be we're going to have a group of lawyers together. And if the insurance companies continue to deny, we're going to put our resources together and we're going to fight that issue. We're going to fight it until we get it. So, and we're going to.
Well, I'm with State Farm for over 40 years.
Beep beep. All right. What we got to do, with Allstate, I believe in USAA, it's been reported that they're going to say the civil authority is applicable. The president made that statement. That was very helpful. We are going to accumulate, and I'll post it on my website, and I'm going to post it on my Facebook page, of all the times that a politician stated not to come back, leave, or mandatory evacuation. We're saying it's a de facto mandatory evacuation. If you call a dog a cat, it doesn't make it a cat. So no matter what you say, the spirit and the breath of the civil authority statute should apply, and businesses should get their business interruption, and the homeowners should get their additional living expenses for evacuation. We're going to die on that hill, and we're going to take it as high as we can until it happens. We're going to use every resource through pressure, political pressure or whatever, because that's the difference between billions of dollars coming into the city to help rebuild it. And we're going to, they're going to have to take us out before we stop on that issue. So I'm just telling you that, stay after it. And I'm going to give a list for everyone that you're going to be able to get off my website probably next week of all the times the politicians stated that our government officials said, don't come back. I would have called the evacuation, but it's too late. Imposing curfews. And we're going to take all that, put it on our website, and when you talk to your claims adjuster, you give them that information. And you be persistent, and you don't give up. You call, you be the squeaky wheel, be polite, but but you have to advocate. So that's a very, very important issue. It's probably the most important issue that's going to come up. And that's the insurance companies right now have taken that position, except for Allstate and possibly USAA. And that, we're going to die on that hill. All right. Do we have time for another caller? Hey guys?
Not really.
Not
no.
really. Okay. So basically, again, I'm going to just close it by saying you have to advocate, document your expenses. If you can, do your own estimates with people like Ken Savage, who we talked. Ken, you still there? I think. Okay, Ken's gone, but
he's there.
Oh, Ken, you here?
I'm here.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
People like Ken, document and do your own. Get someone like Ken to do your estimate, who does the Xactimate program. It's very important that they have the Xactimate program. Is that correct, Ken?
Yeah, that's more readily acceptable
because it can compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges.
Right.
And so you
can also get a public adjuster or a contractor.
Yeah.
Or any kind of consultant, something like that.
And you know what? What you do is you tell the contractor you'll pay them. It is probably the best investment you'll make to get your damage quantified. All right.
Ken, even if it's $300 or $500 or something, pay it and get it. Otherwise,
absolutely.
You're dead in the water.
Okay, and Ken, if any callers have any questions they would have asked on the radio, they can call Ken also at 985-778-1016. He'll answer the questions as if you called in. Thanks for being with us, Ken. Stay tuned for Bobby. No, stay tuned for Bobby. Stay tuned for Newell and Tommy Tucker. I think they're going to take you from 3 to 7, and they've done a wonderful job. And I hope to God that they got some sleep in the air conditioning. So we'll be back next week on All Things Legal from 8 to 10 on Sunday mornings, and we're going to be talking about Hurricane Ida for the next 6 months. See you there. Be blessed. Stay tuned for Tommy and Newell. See you in a few.
On 870 AM WWL New Orleans.
Thank you, Doug.
105.3 WWL FM and H.
Saying thank you.
New Orleans.
Thank you guys,
WLMG
man.
and WLMG HD1 New Orleans.
WKBU
WKBU and WKBU HD1 New Orleans and WEZB and WEZB HD1 New Orleans. Odyssey stations.
WWL First News, it's 3 o'clock. I'm Matt Doyle on your official weather station, WWL AM/FM and .com.
We're looking for a lot of heat and humidity. No surprise. We've been seeing that for the past several days for those of us without power after Ida. On Monday, we'll look for highs around 90 degrees again, but a little higher chance for a few cooling showers or storms at about 50% rain chance, mostly for the